what that movie is based off of. And after researching this case and learning about these people, I don't want to watch this movie anymore. But I'd be curious to know if you have seen it, how close it is to what I'm about to tell you. So we're going to talk about Helle Crafts, and I'm just going to get right into it, and then we'll talk. So, Helle Lorik Nielsen originally came from Denmark, and she met her future husband in Miami in 1969. I don't like the way you're sitting here. So she was training as a flight attendant and he was training for her to be a pilot. She was working for the company Pan Am, and he was working for Eastern Airlines. The two got married in 1975, and they eventually moved into a $250,000 home in Connecticut, where they had 3 children. Richard took a part-time job as a police officer, while Helle continued to see the world as an air stewardess. Their relationship could only be described as rocky from right at the beginning, where Richard was cheating on Helle even before they were married. When he was asked why he married her, he very unromantically replied, "Well, she was pregnant, and we knew she was pregnant, but it was too far along for the doctor to agree to perform an abortion. So we decided to get married." Wow, sweep me off my feet, man. In 1984, doctors discovered that Richard had colon cancer, and they gave him only a 2% chance of survival. But I also read that he had stomach cancer, so I don't really know. Either way, the guy lived, okay? He had Helle right by his side the whole time, caring for him, and if you know anyone that has gone through chemo and all that stuff, it's quite exhausting, and it makes people very sick, and so I know that she did a lot for her husband, even without being there to experience it and see for myself. Richard was not very thankful for this. He reportedly made $120,000 a year with his 2 jobs, and this was in 1986, so truthfully, the dollar went a lot further. He didn't like the idea of paying alimony or child support and having to divvy up the family possessions, so he tried to thwart Helle's idea of a divorce by telling her that his cancer had returned. Like, how low can you get? Anyway, so layers of suspicion. A native of Denmark with delicate features and pale blue eyes, Helle had a spotless 17-year record with Pan Am, and she was a devoted mother, and the people that knew her well could not imagine her simply walking out on her job and family. And they immediately suspected foul play, and in their minds, there was only one logical suspect. You see, Helle's friends had always viewed Richard as strangely aloof and really secretive, and they knew that a marital breakup had been imminent. Helle had met with an attorney named Diane Anderson in September of 1986. She was convinced that Richard was being unfaithful to her again, and she wanted a divorce. To Attorney Anderson, this case really seemed routine, but Helle hinted that Richard could be dangerous. He, in fact, had what she described as an arsenal of weapons, rifles, machine guns, and even a grenade launcher in their basement. And she said, "If something happens to me, please don't assume it was an accident." Now, when it came to guns, Richard was not a mere collector. In the early 1960s, after a stint as a Marine aviator, he joined Air America, Inc. This was an airline operated by the CIA, and he spent 5 years flying risky covert missions in Laos. Later, he kept himself combat ready. I don't know why. As recently as June 1986, he had taken a course at the Lethal Force Institute in Concord, New Hampshire, where civilians are taught to shoot to kill in simulated conditions of danger. Do they still do this? Because I don't know, that kind of scares me a little. I do think that if you're going to handle a gun, you should know how to properly use it. But the fact that people are going to places and learning, I don't know. Okay. I know there could be some debate about that. I didn't mean it in a rude way, but this guy, it concerns me that he's doing this. You'll know why. Keep listening. So, despite Richard's cloak and dagger background, his extramarital love life was easily unveiled. At the attorney's suggestion, Elle hired a man named Keith Mayo. He was a private investigator, and he got Richard all over the place. He was kissing a woman named Nancy Dodd. She was a tall, blonde Eastern Airlines flight attendant after they spent the night together in her New Jersey home. And after seeing Mayo's pictures, Helle confided in another flight attendant that she knew, a woman named Rita Bunano. I'm bad with names, you guys know. They were friends, and she lived nearby, and she told this Rita, if Richard ever found out that I'm having him investigated, he will kill me. So, finally, Helle gets up the courage to tell him she wants a divorce, and to her surprise, he really kind of seems undisturbed by this news, and she told Rita that he put his hand on her head and said, "Anything you want, dear." Kind of like patted her like a dog, which, despite the fact that he was cheating on her, she decided that she would obtain a no-fault divorce and not charge her husband with adultery. She was concerned about her children as well as what the community would think. And she had all this drawn up in November on the 11th, but the papers were never served because she went missing. So she just wanted custody of her children, and she wanted Richard out of her life for good. So a few weeks before she goes missing, but after she asks him for a divorce, Richard does some suspicious things. ordered it from. He refused to give his name, his address. He paid cash for it, and he picked up this 200-pound unit by himself. He also made several telephone inquiries about renting a wood chipper, supposedly to clear out some downed trees from his property. He decided that he didn't want to use anybody local, so he drove an hour away to get this wood chipper for a 3-day rental. And it started November 18th. He rented a 4,220-pound brush bandit capable of shredding logs that were 12 inches in diameter. On November 14th, so right before he got the wood chipper, the live-in nanny, a woman named Dawn Marie Thomas, who was just 19 at the time, overheard a shouting match between Richard and Helle. When they emerged from the bedroom, what appeared to be several hours later, Helle was inconsolable. Richard, in fact, tried to put his arm around her, and this nanny saw her just walk away crying. Helle described this fight 2 days later with Rita and another flight attendant named Gertrude, and she said, "I know that he's up to something. I just don't know what." So, Helle returns home November 18th, and this storm is dropping snow. It downs some power lines and causes a blackout. At 6 the next morning, the nanny gets woken up by Richard, and he tells her that since the heat and the electric are off, they would all have to go to his sister's house, a woman named Karen, 30 miles away. According to the nanny's testimony, Richard explained that Helle had already gone, but left her 3 children behind. But when they got to Karen's house, there was no sign of Helle. Richard showed very little concern and calmly fixed pancakes for his children. The nanny drove back alone to Newtown after breakfast. Power was restored around 10:30, and Richard decides it's time to go home. He leaves the children with his sister and waits until he's so tired that he falls asleep behind the wheel, driving them home. There's not really anything kind of showing anything to the nanny that makes her concerned, except over the next few days, this Dawn Marie Thomas notices just a small grapefruit-sized brownish stain on the master bedroom carpet. Richard said that he had spilled some kerosene from a portable heater, and he promptly ripped up the entire carpet and threw it away. When Rita called over the next few days to inquire about Helle's whereabouts, Richard had some surprising news. Helle had gone home to Denmark to stay with her 81-year-old mother because she'd been hospitalized. And a few days later, Rita was pretty dismayed to learn that Helle had not requested emergency leave from Pan Am, and she faced automatic dismissal. She tried to get a hold of Helle in Denmark to tell her, but she found out that the number that Richard had given her was wrong. So she starts talking to her friends and asking, has anybody heard from her? And one of them finally reaches Helle's mother, Elizabeth, who said that she was fine, she was not hospitalized, and she had not heard from Helle in weeks. So, almost at once, this attorney, Anderson, starts getting frantic phone calls from these people that believe that something terrible happened to Helle Crafts. And in a way, remember, it was Helle herself that raised the alarm. She told at least 5 friends the same thing she was a really baffling sight while he was putting in long hours at the wheel of a snowplow. Late that night, on a narrow country road, Mr. Hine found his path blocked by a wood chipper hitched to a U-Haul truck, and a man in an orange poncho stepped out from beside the wood chipper, blah blah, I speak English, and he gestured like a traffic cop, waving Joe ahead. Why would anyone be out on a storm using a wood chipper? Joe asked himself, and it really didn't make any sense at all. So, at Attorney Anderson's request, the private investigator Mayo tried to get the local police to take action, but because Richard had been an auxiliary policeman in Newtown for 4 years, and he was then a part-time cop in neighboring Salisbury, the police saw no reason not to believe what he said. They were totally indifferent about the whole thing. They believed that Helle was just like a stray dog, that she would come home when she was good and ready. On December 26th, State's Attorney Walter Flanagan, who was disturbed by the lack of progress in this case, finally turned in the investigation over to the state police. It literally took this PI pushing and pushing and pushing with his connections and contacts to get someone to investigate this case, and it's been over a month now. So, Richard and his kids celebrated Christmas in Florida with their relatives, and while they were gone, investigators searched their house. The house was in complete disarray. There was furniture everywhere, and the mattress in the master bedroom was dotted with blood, although it couldn't have been proven to be Helle's. They, I guess, didn't have that kind of testing back then. I didn't go into it very much, but if Richard had killed his wife in the bedroom, as police suspected, there was no weapon and no real proof. I mean, I'm sure that there are other ways that blood gets on mattresses. I'm not going into that. Anyway, but then Joe Hine, remember the guy who saw the wood chipper? He goes to the police and he says that, he tells them what he's seen, and he takes 2 detectives to the shores of Lake Zor, where he had seen this mysterious wood chipper. And there, in a pile of frozen wood chips and debris, police find several address stickers and a torn envelope bearing Helle Graff's name. They were struck by this grisly suspicion that they had, and, a few months earlier, a guy in the area had been convicted of cruelty to animals because he had thrown a neighbor's noisy dog into a wood chipper. So they thought, oh my gosh, what if Richard had heard about that? Was it conceivable that he had used the same method to dispose of his wife's body? We all tried to suppress the thought, says State Police Investigator Tony DeLisio. It was too much to believe that someone could do something so inhumane. On January 6th, after he gets home from Florida, State Police call Richard in for questioning. In fact, I think I read that he had just returned from a ski trip somewhere else. Must be nice. He goes in for questioning and denies knowing anything. He doesn't know where Helle is, and, says that his kids are concerned, and jokes about his extramarital dalliances. He said, in the airline business, there are numerous opportunities presented to you. Okay, well, that doesn't make it okay, bro. I'm not sexually overactive. If the opportunity presents itself, though, I will not turn it down. I'm sorry. You're a creep. He admitted to a long-term relationship with the aforementioned Nancy Dodd, who was in the pictures, and also revealed investigators are searching for evidence in the murky, cold waters of Lake Zor. They were braving the freezing temperatures for 4 days, and they found a chainsaw, which they subsequently traced to, you guessed it, one Richard Crafts. On it, even though it's been in the lake, forensics specialists, I cannot talk today. On it, forensic specialists would discover human tissue and roughly 2,000 strands of blonde hair. Meanwhile, investigators combed this shoreline inch by inch. They were using kerosene heaters to thaw the ground, and what they found absolutely horrified me. They found parts of a thumb, a big toe, a piece of a skull, and 2 teeth. They compared these 2 teeth with dental x-rays and determined that Helle was no longer missing. On January 13th, 1987, Helle was declared legally dead. Police arrested Richard and booked him for murder. He was unable to raise the $750,000 bail. Maybe that's when he was coming home from the ski trip. I should have wrote that down. He was in jail for 16 months while the prosecutors prepared a complex circumstantial evidence case against him. At the trial, Prosecutor Flanagan depicted Richard as a man with nerves of steel and ice in his veins. What other kind of person could do something like this to their spouse and the mother of their children? Most people could not even do this to a rat. In an attempt to prove that Helle was dead, the prosecution presented the results of exhaustive forensic experiments, but the critical identification of the 2 teeth found at Lake Zor was disputed by experts called by the defense, of course. And when Richard took the stand, he was extraordinarily calm, almost nonchalant. He admitted, "Yeah, I've been unfaithful, but she was no saint, and she lured him into marriage by getting pregnant. And on the night she disappeared, she left without any explanation. He said she was fine the last time I saw her." Throughout the prolonged jury deliberations, Warren Maskell was the lone juror voting for acquittal. For Warren, the seeds of doubt were planted early when Helle's mother, Elizabeth, appeared as a witness. When she was asked to identify Richard, she pointed at him and then smiled. And for Warren, this raised some red flags, and he said, "That would not have been the reaction of my own mother-in-law if I had been accused of killing her daughter and putting her through a wood chipper." Warren believed some unknown person could have planted the evidence found at the lake, and he thought that Richard may have been framed. I don't think so. 8 days into deliberations, Warren crashed his truck into a telephone pole on the way home, and he was hospitalized with head injuries and 2 cracked ribs. After 3 days, he insisted he could continue, and finally, after 9 more days of hanging with his fellow jurors, he decided to walk out. He said that he kept looking at the door handle, and it looked bigger and bigger and more inviting. And when Warren, risking jail for contempt of court, defied Judge Barry Scheller's order to continue deliberating, the judge had no choice but to declare this a mistrial. Prosecutor Flanagan also described the trial's outcome as a terrible disappointment. murder's case where someone was convicted of murder with no body in the state of Connecticut. Oh, but I'm not done yet. In 1993, Richard appealed his case, contending that the circumstantial evidence was insufficient and that the nationwide publicity about the crime prevented him from having a fair trial. No luck on that. The Supreme Court held his conviction, and that same year, a judge refused Richard's bid to extract money from Helle's estate. Why would you do that? That money is for your kids. So the three kids ended up staying with Karen. She took over custody of them. And as far as Richard's whereabouts, he spent some of his sentence at the McDougal Walker Correctional Institute, but he was later moved to Osborne in Sumner, Connecticut. Life there sounded pretty stressful, so Richard, who, is over 80 now, probably isn't doing so well, but he was originally eligible for parole in 2022, but as it turns out, he's scheduled for release in the second half of 2020. Apparently, they decided to reduce his sentencing because he exhibited good behavior while incarcerated. What? He was released to a halfway house and then to a shelter for homeless veterans. And in the summer of 2020, he will be completely free. I can't. What? This guy chopped up his wife with a chainsaw, put her through a wood chipper, and goodness knows what he did with the rest of her, and then, or whatever was left of her. The chainsaw's bad enough, but then he's free. I don't care if he's 80 or 90 or however. No, he could be my neighbor. No. Anyway, again, I don't want to see this movie. I understand that in the 60s So, yeah. Anyway, I'm curious to know if you guys saw the movie and didn't know that it was based on a true story, or how far did the movie go out of bounds with the true story?